broken future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, August 20th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. It's just me today. Ruckus had to do a job he actually gets paid at doing. I know. I'm outraged too. Hopefully we can get him on Friday. Shout out to Ruckus for always giving us the share on the X. We have like, I don't know, almost 12,000 followers. We got one guy that shares the promo links. So again, thank you, Ruckus, for that. We do appreciate it. Okay, what do we got today? All kinds of insanity as per usual here. Make DC safe again. Are you pro-crime? No, we're kind of anti, authoritarian police state here now. Martial law is not a good look. I'm going to cover all that. What's going on in DC still? It turns out Jeffrey Epstein grand jury records to remain sealed per a judge's order. Is that judge on the list? Well, they're all on the list. You know what I mean? And clean up crime in DC. But again, turn yourselves into the FEMA camps and call it a day. And we'll say it's a great victory. Of course, these criminals won't do that. What else do we got? A bunch of this nonsense. Oh, you could be part of the rat squad. Be part of the rat squad there in DC. I strongly advise against it, but if you're hard up for cash, let's put it up on the screen here. In the Trump economy that's doing so wonderful, they tell us. Washington, D.C. crime emergency, $500 reward for information that leads to an arrest in D.C. during a public safety surge. Scan here to submit tip. I'd strongly recommend, I'd recommend against being a government informant, but you got to eat. But you know what they do to rats? They flush them down the toilet. So just saying. But again, more dystopian, Orwellian actions out of the federal government there in DC, encouraging citizens to rat out their fellow citizens. That's where we're at here. And your clown influencers out there on the interwebs cheer it on. The fake conservatives, fake MAGA. I mean, you're just a government piece of it. Pisses me off, man. These people really are starting to piss me off. But yeah, be a government rat for $500. Is that worth it? Stuff pisses me off, man. Okay, what else do we got? Trump's going after the Smithsonian. We had a bunch about that. Of course, it's not to release any of the hidden history that they've covered up over the last 100+ years. It's because they're woke. We're still doing this nonsense. So we'll cover that. Big shakeup in the spy ring, known as the Office of Director of National Intelligence. They're all criminals. They're violating your Fourth Amendment right now as I speak, violating my Fourth Amendment, your Fourth Amendment. Tulsi Gabbard fired, 40% or something, nearly half of spy agency. Disband the whole thing. You're all criminals. Of course, they won't. They're expanding the FEMA camps here now, rolling out one in Nebraska, the Cornhusker Clink, as it's affectionately being named here. And again, what are they going to do if they ever do round up all the illegals and deport them? It's for you and me, the next on the list. We may just jump the line here because this government is a pack of criminals. And don't matter, Democrat, Republican, don't matter. Government, criminals. And there's no good guys. There's no binary choice here. Like, it seems that's programmed into the mind, the public mind. Coke, Pepsi, Republican, Democrat, red, blue, all bullshit. What are they doing here? Trump expands good moral character test to become a U.S. citizen. We'll go over that report. When the government has no morality, we'll get to the war profiteering. They just openly, Treasury Secretary, oh yeah, we're gonna get a 10% profit on weapons that we know are going to be used in war. Just in your face war profiteering. It's so freaking angry that at one time, maybe I'm delusional, I don't know. At one time I thought conservatives, Republican type leaning people would be speaking out against this. Now they just lick the boot. They just lick the boot. More on, what do we got? Yeah, more. You got Jen Newsom, Governor Newsom's wife, crying about deporting illegal aliens. What else do we got here today? We got Russia, Ukraine, a little bit about that. Simon sent me some links and tips. So we got some reporting via Simon to give you guys. And yeah, full on genocide continuing there in Gaza. We got all that reporting. And they're going to erase the idea of the Palestinian state by erasing all of the Palestinians. And so if there's no more Palestinians, there's no more need for a two-state solution or a Palestinian state. Now, is there? Because they're all genocided. It's just beyond the pale, man. Beyond the pale. How anyone with a conscience could support this. It's beyond the pale. We'll cover all of this. They're as we continue to report, they're like, oh yeah, there'll be a ceasefire. Bullshit. They're in Gaza City right now and killing people, genociding them. But they're all Hamas, so it's perfectly wonderfully fine. And the United States is sanctioning the ICC. 4 more ICC officials sanctioned by the State Department here in America, complicit in genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity. But we know that's their thing. So I guess we wouldn't have it any other way here now, would we? And a lot more news here and there in between. Let's get to this day in history. Let me check the chat real quick. Does anybody, there's some people online. How you doing there, Karen, Chloe, Denver, in the Rumble chat? Who's over there on the Kick? They're always trying to get me to do some marketing scheme. Hey, Kick, if you're listening, I'm not going to pay for you to market me on a video game platform. Anyway, let's get to this day in history and then get to a lot of news for you. On this day in history of August 20th, we go back to I read this and I was like, wow, if this is true, this is crazy. Going back to the year 1672, the murder of Johann de Witt, former Grand Parishionary of Holland. Johann de Witt and his brother Cornelius are brutally murdered, and their livers are supposedly cooked and eaten by an angry mob in The Hague. Wow, that's extreme. I hope it was well done. Moving forward in history here to the year 1866, we saw President Andrew Johnson issue a proclamation 157, declaring the, quote, insurrection in Texas over and officially ending the U.S. Civil War. Kind of a big deal. You don't hear Our federal government today said nothing about it. The official end of the U.S. Civil War. They're trying to kick off another civil war here now in America. In the year 1968, on this day, we saw the Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia. An estimated 250,000 Soviet and Warsaw Pact troops invade Czechoslovakia at night to suppress the Prague Spring. And in 1974, on this day, Nelson Rockefeller is selected as U.S. Vice President by President Gerald Ford. And we wouldn't have it any other way than, oh, he was democratically elected here in America. No, he was selected. And that's how we like our Rockefellers in high political office, selected to screw you, democracy and slaves. Nelson Rockefeller's a good guy. Let me tell you. Okay, 2018 on this day in history, Pope Francis condemned sexual abuse. Pope Francis released a letter to all Catholics condemning sexual abuse, atrocities, and clerical cover-ups, stating, "We showed no care for the little ones. We abandoned them." Yeah. Did anybody get in trouble? No. Feed them to the wood chipper. It's just, we're beyond the pale here, man, of crimes against humanity, crimes against children, by the church, by the government, essentially one and the same. And what we got on this day in civil, more of this sexual perversion from child molesters. In 1953, the Kinsey Report on Sexual Behavior of Women to be published. And they're using all this Kinsey research, was just child molestation and torture, essentially. They use that all over the education system as primary source. And somehow it's legitimate. And he was a child molester and a child abuser and evil. The New York Times reported on this day that the Kinsey Report on Sexual Behavior in the Human Female was scheduled to be published later in the year. Interestingly, the Times had made no mention of the first Kinsey Report, Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, which was published on January 5th, 1948. They do love abusing the kids sexually, mentally, every which way, medically, but it's all for the children. That's what they say. It's all for your public safety, for your public health. In 1954, on this day, in civil liberties history, compelled testimony, President Eisenhower signs bill to limit Fifth Amendment. President Eisenhower, on this day, signed into law a bill that would compel witnesses in federal investigations to give testimony in return for immunity for prosecution. The law was a product of the controversy that erupted in 1954 over the fact that many witnesses, most of them alleged communists or subversives, claimed the Fifth Amendment protection rather than the riskier First Amendment against testifying about their political beliefs and associations before the HUAC and other legislative investigative bodies. And with that, here's our video segue to the news. Make DC safe again. Well, again. Turn yourselves into the FEMA camps, politicians. These two clowns right here can make a good start.
Are you going to be releasing evidence of this?
Of what? That DC has a terrible crime problem? You just got to look around. Obviously, DC has a terrible crime problem. The Department of Justice statistics back it up. The FBI statistics back it up. Just talk to a resident of this city, this beautiful, great American city. Don't they deserve I mean, we talk about human rights. We hear these people outside screaming, free DC. Let's free DC from lawlessness. Let's free Washington, DC from one of the highest murder rates in the entire world. Let's free Washington, DC so that young families can walk around and feel safe and secure. That's what we're trying to free DC from. And as Stephen said, it's kind of bizarre that we have a bunch of old, primarily white people who are out there protesting the policies that keep people safe when they've never felt danger in their entire life.
Martial law keep you safe. Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe. I put this at the front just so I didn't miss it. Trump admin better placed than courts to release Epstein files, judge says. Are we going to get the Epstein files? I have my doubts here now. And so today, a U.S. judge said that the Trump administration is in a better position than federal courts to release materials that would satisfy public curiosity about the late financier and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking case. In rejecting the Justice Department's bid to unseal records from the grand jury that indicted Epstein in 2019, Manhattan-based U.S. District Judge Richard Berman wrote that the 70-odd pages of materials the grand jury saw paled in comparison to the 100,000 pages the government has from its Epstein investigation, but is not releasing. That is a good point, actually, that he's making there. The judge said the bid to persuade him to unseal the records was an apparent distraction from the Justice Department's decision in July not to release its files, and directly cited another judge's decision earlier this month not to release similar materials from the grand jury that indicted Epstein's longtime girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. The instant grand jury motion appears to be a diversion from the breadth and scope of the Epstein files in the government's possession, Berman wrote. Well, maybe he's not on the list. I don't know. I guess you had to read what he actually said there, but I got to agree with him. Look over there, look over there. Hey, we got troops on the street, crime emergency in DC. Yeah, but still no Epstein. Documents from the federal government. So I believe this judge is calling it out correctly. It's another distraction, but it got the splashy headlines and got me saying, hey, this judge is on the list. Well, maybe not. Let's take a double take. And yeah, it is a giant distraction. Okay, more distractions there in DC from Mr. Technocracy himself, J.D. Vance. Let's watch this propaganda clip from the federal government and these cast of jokers.
I want to thank all the people, the guardsmen here and the police officers who have worked very hard for actually keeping this place safe. If you look at what's happened in Washington, D.C. in just the past 9 days, we've seen a 35% reduction in violent crime. We've seen over a 50% reduction in robberies. We are seeing really substantial effects. So I want to come here, highlight what they're doing, say thank you in person, obviously pass out a few burgers, but most of all, we do not have to allow our cities to be taken over by violence. You can actually bring law and order to communities. You've just got to have the political willpower to do it, because we want our people to be able to enjoy our beautiful cities. And the last thing I'll say is to the American people, DC is already safer than it was 9 days ago, but we're going to make it safer still to come. This is your city.
Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe. If you want to be safe, go to solitary confinement, lock yourself in a room. Why the hell's the Department of War, their Department of Defense head, Hegseth? Like seriously, we need a double take on what the hell's going on here. Let's hear this report from the big liberal outlet, Democracy Now! Let's hear what they had to say about it. Now 6, was it 5 or 6 yesterday, states have sent National Guard to DC. What? Yeah. Crime there's that bad. They just said, this guy's citing statistics, 50% down, lower, blah, blah. Come on, man. Bullshit. Believe any of this government data? You shouldn't.
Has become the 6th Republican state to agree to send National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. to assist President Trump's growing takeover of the nation's capital. The Republican governors of Louisiana, Ohio, South Carolina, West Virginia, and Mississippi are also sending National Guard troops. Many of the troops arrived Tuesday. The Republican governors deployed the National Guard even though many of the states have cities with worse crime rates than D.C. This comes as the online news outlet, The Handbasket, reports D.C. National Guard members have begun actively training to carry pistols on the streets of D.C. President Trump sent in the National Guard last week after claiming D.C. is facing a crime emergency, even though records show violent crime in the district is at a 30-year low. In January, the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Columbia put out a press release headlined "Violent Crime in D.C. Hits 30-Year Low." But President Trump has questioned the numbers, and now federal prosecutors have launched a criminal investigation into whether D.C. police manipulated data to make crime rates appear lower. The DOJ probe will be run out of the office of Trump's hand-picked interim U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, former Fox News personality Jeanine Pirro. Meanwhile, the Washington Post reports a new poll found 80% of D.C. residents oppose Trump's executive order to federalize D.C.'s law enforcement. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's accused Trump of engaging in an authoritarian push by deploying the National Guard. This is Mayor Bowser speaking Monday.
The numbers on the ground.
So one side, it's crime emergency. The other side, oh, there's nothing wrong. What do we believe? One side, big old statistics over here. Other side, big old statistics over here. Well, we know what we can see with our own eyes. We know what's been done here now. The National Guard on the streets. Policy comitatus. I guess it doesn't apply to Washington, D.C. But Trump has said, just declare an emergency like he did with the medical intervention, crime emergency, just whatever the hell. Crime sounds good, whatever, man. Emergency, and then all your rights are gone, and then you have a police state. Protesters drowned out top Trump advisors visiting troops in Washington. That's a report out of the Wall Street Journal. Let's watch this short report. Here's some of these protesters there. Free DC.
One of the things that we've done already in Union Station in just 9 days is we've made it a place where people can walk around safely. They can bring their kids again. They can see this beautiful monument.
And the voices that you hear out there, those crazy communists, they have no roots, they have no connections to this.
Crazy communist, he says. Maybe some of them are. Hey, be a rat for the government. How about this? And what he also said something about hippies, just a bunch of white hippies, something like that. You always have to throw in white because it's okay. They're white, so you can denigrate white people. That's politically correct. Yeah, be a rat, informant for the government here. I wouldn't advise it. Again, rat out your own citizens. Washington, D.C., crime emergency, $500 reward for information that leads to an arrest in DC during the public safety surge. Scan there on your smartphone to rat out your neighbor. You can now carry rifles, shotguns in Washington, D.C. without facing charges. New policy after Trump takeover. Well, hey, let's take a look at this. Federal prosecutors in Washington, D.C. will no longer seek felony charges for carrying rifles or shotguns. U.S. Attorney Fox woman Pirro cites Supreme Court ruling and constitutional rights in line with Trump's law enforcement push. Federal prosecutors in Washington, D.C. have been directed not to pursue felony charges against people caught carrying rifles or shotguns in the city, a dramatic departure from long-standing practice. The instructions confirmed by Fox News woman Pirro there. Now, was she U.S. Attorney in D.C.? Until now, D.C.'s law barring residents from carrying long guns with only limited exceptions had been used in several notable prosecutions, including the 2016 Pizzagate incident, when an armed man stormed a local restaurant. Was it Comet Ping Pong Pizza? And in 2019 case involving a shotgun attack in Northeast Washington. The policy shift coincides with President Trump's aggressive expansion of federal law enforcement in the Capitol, a campaign touted as a crackdown on illegal firearms. White House officials have pointed to the seizure of 68 weapons since the start of the initiative, yet the new stance raises questions about how many of those cases will result in charges. Well, I don't know. They say an armed society is a polite society, so if everybody's walking around with shotguns, then I think the crime would go down there. So maybe let the citizens handle it. I think they probably could, but hey, government's got to keep you safe. Here's a short clip from Tucker. Tucker says, is dictatorship in the U.S. inevitable? Aren't we already there?
It does seem like we're moving toward dictatorship. And I'm not pointing at any one political leader or party even. I think the Democrats are much more eager for dictatorship than the Republicans generally, but I'm not even making that point. I'm just saying people's faith in democracy, whatever that is, has been badly shaken, and I just don't think you can govern in the way that our government currently governs forever. Do you think that's inevitable?
Yeah, I do. I think Caesarism is a natural life cycle of any civilization. Oswald Spengler talked about the life cycles of civilizations, and after the age of money power, after the age of oligarchy, the only thing that can cut through the Gordian knot of this vast, sprawling bureaucracy built on money is a strongman.
And so where are we at? We're at the end of oligarchy? Is that what he's saying? And now bring on the strong man, the Caesar. Is that Trump? Will Trump declare an emergency? It looks like J.D. Vance is campaigning. I'm already against J.D. Vance because we already know who that dude is. He's Mr. Technocracy, Mr. Black Eyeliner, Mr. propped up by Peter Thiel. And so I'm already against J.D. Vance, but he looks like he's campaigning already for 2028. What a ticket that'll be. Your choice, Gavin Newsom for the Democrats, California Psycho, or Mr. Technocracy, J.D. Vance. Go democracy. Democracy was, as Denver said there, for democracy now, obviously. But hey, I guess only a strong man could save us. Maybe the Antichrist. I don't know. Trump's going after the Smithsonian. Trump vows to gut wokeness from our museums. We are not going to allow this. Trump singled out the Smithsonian, which he deemed out of control with wokeness. I really wish that was our biggest problem here, but they're making a federal case of it. Woke ideology that degenerates our nation, Trump said. The museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke, Trump declared in a Truth Social post. Really? Here's the post. Again, you can't defeat an idea with force. Just like how you can't, aardvarks will never defeat Hamas because it's an idea. Trump and Republicans will never defeat woke because it's an idea. You have to change the minds, and their authoritarian tactics are just going to cause a woke backlash. I don't even like that stupid word, woke. Just call it a liberal backlash. The Smithsonian's LGBTQ plus history includes lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, transsexual, transvestite, mahu, homosexual, fluid, invert, yearning, third sex, two sex, gender bender, sapphist, hijara, friend of Dorothy, drag queen king, and many other experiences. Huh? Yeah, well. How about the Smithsonian stop covering up a history of the last 100+ years about the giants? There's rumors that you always hear on the interwebs. They got these Indiana Jones style warehouses where they just shelve technology. We talk about it on this show all the time. Other discoveries, other histories. They just take that. Oh, public don't need to know that. Put it on a shelf in the Indiana Jones style warehouse to cover up and shape the propaganda and lies of the narrative to control your mind. Thank you very much, Smithsonian. But, oh no, another diversion. It's the woke. It's all that nonsense that I just said. And so once we take care of that, then the liberals are going to be okay. I don't think so. Here's a portion of the stop motion drawing animation of the greatest man in medical history, Dr. Anthony Fauci, commissioned by the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery in 2022. But Trump licked Fauci's boots. So very contradictory there as well. Go Operation Warp Speed, bro. That's sick stuff, man. That is sick stuff. Again, that's a stop motion drawing animation at the Smithsonian. Yeah, that's sick stuff right there. This is a real infographic produced by the Smithsonian in 2020 to educate people on the ways white people and their traditions, attitudes, and ways of life have been normalized. This is what President Trump means when he says the Smithsonian has long been out of control. Aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture in the United States. That Fauci clip is enough, but yeah, they are pretty out of control here. But again, we want access to the warehouse, man. White dominant culture or whiteness refers to the ways white people and their traditions, attitudes, and ways of life have been normalized over time and are now considered standard practices in the United States of America. And since white people still hold most of the institutional power in America, well, we elected a half-white president, Barack Hussein Obama. I don't know why they're still complaining, but they are. We have all internalized some aspect of white culture, including people of color. Don't be polluted by white culture. What, they go on rugged individualism. Well, we know the state is your mom and dad. So yeah, family structure. Of course, that's evil because again, the state's your mom and dad. Emphasis on scientific method. Well, they destroyed that during the medical intervention period, didn't they? Now, history. Well, I'm kind of white and I want to know my history, but I guess that's bad. Protestant work ethic, religion, Christianity is the norm, status and power and authority, future orientation, time, follow rigid time schedules. Yeah, we try to start the show here at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern District Time, Monday through Friday. Tune in to Weaponized News, or else, I've heard them say it a lot. Actually, they say CP time, color people time. And if you want them to be on time, that's racist. Aesthetics, steak and potatoes, holidays, Christian, based on Christian religions, based on white history and male leaders, justice. We know that there is no justice in America. Competition, be number one, win at all cost. Communication, the King's English rules. That's just not true. America doesn't, we're using American English. We're not using the King's English. So that's just simply not true. But yeah, very diluted there at the Smithsonian. More of it here. Here's their bizarre flags. Here is the intersex inclusive progress pride flag, whatever that means, being shown at Smithsonian buildings. I think we have a better image of it. There we go. That is a bizarre, but what about the sun worshiping flag? What about this occultic flag? I think that's the Smithsonian logo, but still, hey, what do you guys, what's up with the sun worship occultic flag? Nobody asked that question. It's just, oh, the woke. Oh, the police state. Oh, and there's a camera right there. So that's low-hanging fruit. Blame the, quote, woke liberals, these people that are whacked out of their mind, probably on all kinds of prescription drugs, hormones. Who knows, man? Okay, they got issues, but they're easy target, the, quote, woke distraction over there. Epstein what? And so that is the continuing theme coming out of the Trump administration. During the Biden administration, the border went ungoverned for 4 years, and more than 11,000 unaccompanied children were placed with unvetted adults who were not blood relatives. That's a report by the Health and Human Services Department. You can see right here. HHS is using a whole of government approach to identify, sponsor fraud, stop child exploitation, and end human trafficking. Well, we're still waiting for the rest of the previous administration. They're still planning in the government now, carrying on the trafficking. Where's the rest, man? Just blame the last guy, blame the woke, blame the liberals. No one in the government ever gets in trouble. I'll believe they're genuine. And We saw reports, 370,000, 100,000 children, 500,000 children. Now they're saying 11, but I guess specifically placed with traffickers, unvetted adults who are not their blood relatives. No one in the government that allowed this to happen gets in trouble. They're complicit in child molestation, trafficking, child abuse, murder. Go down the list, man. And so you want to do a big crackdown on crime in DC? There's a bunch of suspects right there for you. Hold up the mirror, government, and there's the big criminals you've been looking for. It's you, government. It's you. On to the spies. The spies. Rogue from X-Men. Tulsi Gabbard. PSYOPs officer before she became the top spy. Former Democrat. Congresswoman out of Hawaii. Let's hear from her now. She's cleaning up the spy agency that again is violating our Fourth Amendment right now. They're scooping up all of our electronic data at their NSA data centers every second of every day, man. Unlimited felonies against you, me, and the American people. No talk of that. Reforming any of that at all. Oh, it's just metadata. But we've seen them. Oh, first, we're not even doing that. Oh, it's just metadata. Oh, we connect all the dots, and now we have Palantir dashboards of your freaking whole profile, your life story. They know more about you than you do now at this point. But let me tell you, they're cleaning up the deep state. It's just all the government. Here's Rogue.
ODNI.gov, people who say, well, Tulsi, this is just your view or your interpretation. No, it's all in hundreds of pages of documents that I've declassified and released that show point by point exactly what happened through this timeline that showed this very dangerous thing that occurred in the creation of Russiagate, the creation of this manufactured intelligence assessment that essentially had the intent of undermining the voices and votes of the American people who elected Donald Trump. They were not happy with the outcome of that election. And so they created this politicized, weaponized piece of fake intelligence that, as you mentioned, then went on to serve as a foundation for everything that came after, the multiple investigations, the years-long Mueller investigation, 2 congressional impeachments, investigations in the raid at Mar-a-Lago. The list goes on and on. Ultimately, the real crime here was against the American people because this action singularly undermined the integrity of our democratic republic. What to speak of the fact that some of those folks and those 37 individuals that we revoked, directed the revocation of security clearances from today by under the direction of President Trump, they aided and abetted in this action, this seditious conspiracy that undermined our democracy, undermined our republic, and broke that sacred trust that every one of these professionals.
Seditious conspiracy, you don't say. Now the head of DNI is a conspiracy theorist. You don't say. And still, we're waiting. Oh, we took their security clearance away from them. Fired some people. We want jail time. We want freaking, capital punishment. And then turn yourselves into the FEMA camps. Government, all of you. Tulsi Gabbard axes. Oh, sorry. Going on a run here, but I did catch the chat there, Carrie. I'm glad to hear that your medical treatment went well. That is good news. So I don't even know, what do you say when someone has a successful medical treatment? Just congratulations. I'm happy that it went well for you. And you're joining us today in the chat there. So that's good news, Carrie. Okay. More on Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard acts as nearly half of spy agency staff in earthquake of deep state shakeup. It's the government. Can we just lose it? And all that persecution of Trump was a setup to garner sympathy to get him in there now to do what he's doing. Let's grow up here now, people, about reality. I know MAGA has a hard time with that, but I mean, come on, man. So Director of National Intelligence, Rogue, Tulsi Gabbard, sent out an email to Office of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, employees today, announcing the launch of ODNI 2.0, the accumulation of a months-long effort to reduce redundancies and cut costs, including employees. This will reduce ODNI by over 40% by the end of the fiscal year 2025 and save taxpayers over $700 million. You've all been replaced by AI. Thank you very much. Yeah, the office is unconstitutional, created after 9/11. Government did 9/11. And so there you have it. It shouldn't even exist, like I said. And then she should fire everybody there, resign, and turn herself into a FEMA camp. And then I would say, wow, you did a good job. Until that happens, which it's not going to happen. And then, yeah, they just replace these people with AI. Whoop-de-freaking-do. They're still doing all the spying even more efficiently on you here now. The Cornhusker Clink, as DHS is affectionately calling it. Here's their there's an info battle on the interwebs between the press office of Gavin Newsom and the U.S. federal government. Wouldn't you know? Using ARC and all at taxpayer expense and the expense of our democracy. So here's a nice meme cooked up by Homeland Security. Isn't that nice? I'm sure it's GMO corn too. Talking about Nebraska. Nebraska announces plan for immigration detention center dubbed the Cornhusker Clink. The Cornhusker Clink. So far, we have Alligator Alcatraz, Deportation Depot, Speedway Slammer, and now Cornhusker Clink, i.e. FEMA camp, ready for your political dissidents in the very near future. Here it is on a map. You can see where to visit in Nebraska when you wind up in a FEMA camp, Immigration Detention Center. And we do have video of it as well. Here's the report. What is this? Channel 7 out of Nebraska.
Nebraska will soon be home to an immigration detention facility. Thanks for joining us. I'm Julie Cornell.
I'm Rob McCartney. Governor Jim Pillen announced today that it'll be located in McCook. That's in Red Willow County, 4 hours away from Omaha. The detention center will house 280 people who are awaiting deportation and other immigration proceedings. And it's not just the detention center. Tonight, we have team coverage. Bill Shammer shares how other Nebraska agencies will help with immigration enforcement.
First, Pete Cudahy leads off our team coverage with logistics of the project.
Julie, Rob, after attending the press conference today in Lincoln, I learned that the goal of this facility is to serve as a hub for immigration detention throughout the Midwest. Now, the Nebraska Department or Correctional Department Services, they say that right now this building, it serves as a work ethic camp, and so that's also known as a WIC, and they say they're ready for the change. Tuesday, the Nebraska Department of Correctional Services announced plans to work with the federal government on a facility housing immigration detainees.
It is our intent to partner with U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, to repurpose the work ethic camp as an ICE detention facility. The site currently serves as a work ethic camp. It's home to 186 detainees who are considered low to medium risk. In a statement, Governor Jim Pillen mentions ICE encounters with an alleged MS-13 kingpin and murderer in Nebraska playing a role in the partnership of the detention center.
Despite the work ethic camp dealing with low-risk individuals in the past, NDCS says it's prepared for the change.
It's just another population for us to manage.
Those currently detained in McCook will be moved to other facilities in the state, making room for what's being called Cornhusker Clink.
Oh, remember the old Franklin cover-up out of Nebraska, Boys Town? All the raping of young boys there? Mm-hmm. You can trust the corruption out of Nebraska, right? Interactive. And what does Chloe say? I pray you're wrong, Sam? I pray I'm wrong too. I'm not, but you'll see. Interactive ICE detention map shows 71% of detainees have no criminal record. That's kind of oxymoron, right? Because they're in the country legally, so you broke the law here now, the U.S. immigration law. But here's a map of all your immigration detention facilities, i.e. FEMA camps. Let's take a look nationwide here. There's quite a few of them, isn't there? Interactive. So I guess they haven't committed a new crime, at least been booked for it here. These statistics say you can download it too, actually, for the immigration hawks. The data is downloadable. So I'll put the link, Weaponized News Substack, for those interested. They go on to say, of the statistics in the spreadsheet, it may be the most what may be the most telling of the 46,113 individuals detained by ICE. 71% have no criminal record. Again, but they broke immigration law. And again, why don't you put government who allowed this to happen in the first place in same FEMA camps? That doesn't happen. So I have a hard time believing they're genuine in their pursuit of justice here now. Continuing. Trump expands good moral character test to become a U.S. citizen. Isn't that wonderful when Trump has no moral character whatsoever? Was he 3 times divorced, questionable ties with Epstein, just all around dirtbag, con man, go down war criminal now, king of aardvark land, self-proclaimed. I mean, but good moral character. Let's go to this report, take a look. Trump expands good moral character test to become U.S. citizen. Trump administration is taking steps to expand the good, quote, good moral character test for U.S. citizens. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has announced that officers will be told to give more than a cursory mechanical review focused on the absence of wrongdoing. They will instead be ordered to organize a holistic assessment of an alien's behavior, adherence to social norms, and positive contributions that firmly demonstrate good moral character. The agency stated in a Friday memo, I guess that would be last week, that the current rules will remain in place, meaning that citizenship will not be awarded to people who have taken part in serious offenses such as murder and other violent crimes. U.S. citizenship is the gold standard of citizenship, and it should only be offered to the world's best of the best, a spokesman from U.S. Customs said. What is good moral character? A According to the new policy, immigration officials must take into account any evidence of moral character, such as an applicant's community involvement and education level, in addition to possible negative information, including repeated DUI convictions or actions that, while technically lawful, may be considered a civil responsibility within the community, such as reckless or habitual traffic infractions or harassment or aggressive solicitation. Officers will also take into account any evidence of reformed characters, including paying back taxes or adhering to probation conditions. Well, isn't that good? USCIS said in a Tuesday press release that it would be screening for, quote, anti-American activity when vetting immigrant benefits requests. America's benefits should not be given to those who despise the country or promote anti-American ideologies, i.e., proclaiming yourself king of aardvark land. I don't know. This all sounds well and good on the surface, but underneath the surface, the people telling you this have no moral character. They're running the world's largest crime syndicate. They're war criminals, war profiteers. And so it all sounds good on the surface. Yeah, let's have MAGA, Make America Great Again, America 1950. Turns out the people telling you to act good are the biggest criminals the world's ever known. You see the hypocrisy here, the irony. Again, it does sound good on the surface, but coming from these war criminals out of the federal government, it's kind of hard to believe they're genuine in their sentiment here now. It just goes on. Having good moral character. All right. Here's the would I be considered anti-American because I'm against the government? I'm here calling them all criminals. I think they probably would consider that anti-American. I'm saying, we have natural rights here. Honor them. Given to us by our Creator. Honor them. Government. People hired by the taxpaying citizens of this country to administrate the public infrastructure is the government's job. They spy on you. They go to war on you. I mean, go down the list. They're trafficking all the contraband. I mean, go down the list of crime syndicate activities by the U.S. federal government. That seems pretty damn anti-American to me. Again, turn yourselves in to the Cornhusker Clink there, government, and then I would believe you're genuine in this propaganda that you're putting out here now. But MAGA is going to eat it up. Let me tell you. Okay, here now, more on painting the border wall black. They're painting it black, saying that it will increase temperatures and cause and make it harder to climb over the wall. Paint it black. They're painting it black, quite literally. What do we got here? Trump administration is working to ensure that all truck drivers speak English, because there was this Indian fellow, the kind with the dot, not the feather, that was driving a semi and killed 2 or 3. And so never let a good crisis go to waste. But let's hear this report. They should actually read English for sure to read the damn road signs.
2 commercial drivers in Alabama were among the first ticketed under a revived federal rule that requires truckers to speak and read English. Department of Transportation is now enforcing a Trump-era executive order signed in April, directing officials to take drivers off the road if they fail basic English requirements. The move reverses the Obama-era policy that issued warnings instead. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy confirmed in May that the rule would now be enforced nationwide. Drivers must be able to read signs, talk to police, and keep records all in English.
The only reason they're doing this is because there was an accident. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Was Kerry say? I heard Musk isn't creating a political party. That was some reporting out there, but I saw Musk said no, that's fake news. So Musk countered it on the X directly. Here is Gavin Newsom's wife shedding crocodile tears for deported illegal aliens. Let's watch this. Talk about throw up. She's a fraudster, scammer, money launderer, amongst other things.
We are a country of immigrants. That is just a fact. It is who we are. And yet here we are watching families be targeted, watched, hunted, farm workers being chased across fields. These are some of the hardest working people on earth, and they literally feed the nation. Shame on this federal administration for doing this. Shame on them for choosing cruelty, for terrifying families, ruining children's lives, just to make a political point. Whose interpretation of Christian values is this? What happened to being the party of family values? This shouldn't be about politics. This should be about people, their well-being, our shared humanity. If you could see these families, hear from them, these moms, their children. Today I heard from community members who have lost loved ones to suicide because of the trauma and pain being inflicted on the immigrant community. If you looked into their eyes, you would understand, you would feel it. You would know this was wrong.
Let me tell you, that white woman cares, right? No talk of reforming the immigration system, which is the other side of illegal aliens breaking federal immigration law. No talk of that from any of the government whatsoever. It's just the left-right political games, trigger you emotionally. There are a lot of these stories that are messed up, going after kids, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We report on it here, but still, where's the reform of the immigration system? There is none. It's screwed up bad. The government sucks. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and take our live commercial break. And what do we have today for you? Same as always. We have our Weaponized News stickers. I was looking for them. They're right here in front of my face. Go to weaponizednews.com, get yourself some stickers, the holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and the clear sticker. There you can see. Of course, you'll get new ones. These are demo models. Weaponizednews.com. Give us a donation at the website. Go to the store. We got a few books over there as well. But the stickers are easy. Help spread the word about independent reporting and analysis. We bring you here 5 days a week at weaponizednews.com. Put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your Cybertruck, your work locker. Spread the word. Tell your friends, family, neighbors, and acquaintances. Tune in to weaponizednews.com if you can stomach it. And with that, I wanted to, we have a special interest story. But before that, let's, I don't know how the price of vegetables, this is tying in with deporting all of the farm workers. Maybe, possibly. Locals weigh in on rising cost of vegetables. Are vegetables increasing in your neighborhood, in your grocery store? The price of everything has increased due to supply chain cutoffs and due to bats, we're told, and never-ending inflation of the money supply by your private central bank. But let's take a look at this report about I think they said 38%, something like that, increase in vegetable costs. Everything costs more.
Back with a consumer alert. Vegetable prices could be on the rise. News Channel reporter Mina Wahab explains the possible reasons for the spike in prices.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported a 38% surge in the wholesale price of vegetables in July. It's the biggest price spike for any product category month to month. Economists say tariffs, weather, and supply chain issues could be to blame for the rising cost of vegetables. But it remains to be seen if this is the beginning of a long-term trend that will translate to significantly higher prices at the store. The owners of Tri-County Produce in Santa Barbara say they haven't seen a reason to raise prices because they source about 75% of their produce from local growers.
It doesn't have to sit in the factory. It doesn't have to take 8 hours to get here in a truck. We drive 10 minutes and we pick it up. It's pretty simple.
For the other 25% that gets imported, it's a slightly different story.
This would have been probably 3 months ago, maybe 119, 99 cents, 119, so now it's at 149.
Another possible explanation for the rise in wholesale prices is the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. A shortage of workers could lead to lost crops down the line.
A lot of the product is being lost because there's nobody to work. So the product that is being picked is being raised maybe 35 to 40%.
In June, President Trump said he, quote, cherished our farmers, saying the administration was developing a permit that would allow some immigrant workers, including agricultural employees, to retain legal status. However, he had previously reversed an effort to afford legal protection to agricultural workers.
People need to realize who is out there growing and harvesting their crops and support them and buy local.
While vegetable prices rose sharply, fresh fruit tells a different story. Those wholesale prices were actually down 6% in July. In Santa Barbara, I'm News Channel reporter Mina Wahab.
So conflicting, vegetables up, fruits down, right? So that's yeah. And don't doubt that the producers here, someone along the supply chain, or all of them, somebody somewhere in between there, they're taking their cut too. So they see an opportunity. Hey, blame immigration enforcement, and we'll just go ahead and take a little cut out of here, add another 10% on the top. Nobody's going to notice, and so don't think that doesn't happen as well. Carrie said that she got the stickers, some Weaponized News stickers, and she put them on her front door. Thank you very much, Carrie. We really do appreciate that. Yeah, California is blessed with fresh fruit and vegetables. That is true. We got so much over here of the blessings that I walk down the street, walk the dog, and there's neighbors with a peach tree, little part of the branch hanging over their fence, and then nice, real nice peaches just fall on the ground and rot. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? So we are blessed here with abundance, no doubt. Okay, very sad story here, public interest story from one of my old partners, a original founding member of Weaponized News, Pam Jones for Liberty. She tagged me this report she wrote up, Save Mary, and I want to go over a little bit. I think maybe we're going to get an interview about it. I don't know. I haven't really talked to her about it. She just tagged me on the X, but this is out of Northern California. This woman, Mary, Humboldt County's heartless eviction, how an 80-year-old woman lost her home to a predatory system, by Pam Jones. Blue Lake resident and advocate for Justice Blue Lake, California. And that was 2 days ago. Imagine being 80 years old, having lived a quiet life on your own land for nearly 4 decades, your home paid for in full, your taxes up to date, your days spent tending to your goats and dog in the peaceful hills of Humboldt County. Now imagine the same county sworn to protect you rips it all away, your home, your belongings, your dignity, leaving you homeless, forced to sleep in the forest with your animals, all because of a pile of wood and some alleged debris. This is not a dystopian nightmare. This is the reality of Mary Garth, an 80-year-old Blue Lake resident whose life has been shattered by Humboldt County's ruthless abatement program and court-ordered receivership that smells more like a scam than justice. Mary Garth's story is a gut-wrenching tragedy and stark betrayal of the government's duty to serve and protect its people. Indeed. And it's quite a long story there, but you get the gist of it. They kicked her out of her house because of, she was a menace, essentially, a blight. So yeah, very sad here in California, Northern California, Humboldt County. Humboldt County officials, from the sheriff, William Hansel, to the board of supervisors, took an oath under the California Constitution to support and defend the rights of residents like Mary to faithfully discharge their duties to protect, not destroy lives. Yet they've done the opposite, turning a blind eye to an elderly woman's plight while handing her property to a private receivership group that stands to profit handsomely, potentially racking up fees in the hundreds of thousands, as seen in similar cases in Sonora County. And so, yeah, first I heard of this, but yeah, sounds like a racket by the county and this other group, and I believe it. So we'll continue to cover this story, but in the interest of time, I have to move on. But I wanted to mention that and try to shed some light on this public interest story of government elder abuse, at the very least here now. Looks like a land grab for sure. There. Okay, on to our geopolitical news. What has happened? What's the fallout from these last two summits? We had the Alaska summit last Friday, and we had the DC summit there with the war criminals out of Europe on Monday. And what's the fallout from that? Are we getting a peace deal? No, they're still killing the hell out of each other over there in Russia-Ukraine war, quite horrifically. Let's hear now from former President Medvedev. He says it's been explicitly stated no NATO troops as peacekeepers. Russia won't accept such a security guarantee. That's always been a big point of contention in all of this. Let's hear from Lavrov, foreign minister of Russia. It's I think he's speaking in Russian, but it's dubbed, it's translated into English in this clip. He says, "We cannot agree with the fact that now is proposed to resolve questions of security without Russia."
So we cannot agree to the fact that now they are suggesting to resolve these collective security matters without the participation of the Russian Federation. This will not work. On many occasions we explained that Russia does not have any exaggerated interests, but the interest that we have, we will ensure in a consistent manner. And I'm sure that in the West and in the United States, they are perfectly aware of the fact that to discuss the security matters without the Russian Federation is a path that is leading to nowhere.
Back to the story, Carrie, I don't know. Is it, I don't know if she was placed in county conservatorship or not. Let's see. Here's the link to the story. I'll put it in the chat here for you. But it sounds like Pam Jones wants to continue. She took the time to write this story up. And I believe we'll probably be covering it more. We'll come back to it tomorrow. But a brief scan of it, I don't see if she has been. Yeah, maybe she is. Stop predatory receiverships now. Maybe she has been. I don't know if she has been, honestly. And I don't have time to read this whole story. But we'll come back to it tomorrow. We'll come back to it tomorrow and maybe get an interview with her or Pam Jones or somebody else about it, okay? So we'll stay on this story. But in the interest of time, I got to go forward here. Okay. What is going on here? Alleged hack of a Ukrainian military database occurred by hacker group Killnet. They're claiming they breached the general staff database of the Ukrainian military, and they're claiming 1.7 million Ukrainian soldiers allegedly listed as killed or missing since the start of the conflict. Photos, IDs, birth certificates, and dog tags among leaked files. Wow. If that's true, 1.7 million Ukrainian soldiers. I don't know. That's what the report says. China is rapidly expanding its nuclear force with about 600 warheads now and 350 new missile silos under construction. The United States projects Beijing could have 1,000 plus warheads by 2030. Despite its official no first use pledge, the Pentagon warns China might consider nuclear first use if a conventional Taiwan conflict threatened regime survival. The buildup includes land, air, and sea-based launch systems with 462 missiles capable of striking the U.S. mainland, according to a report out of Reuters. There you go. Are nukes even real? Again, or at least what the way they tell us is the story that they've told us about them. Is that accurate? That may be a better way than just, saying nukes aren't real, which I do like the idea. But how about, let's just say, do we believe the official story of nuclear weapons as has been told to us by government? That, I don't know. You know what I mean? They lie about everything else. Why not that? Why not that? To scare us and funnel a bunch of money into military industrial complex. Hey, we got to do this giant arms race build up to, fight the Russians. And now the Chinese. Okay, this is from Simon. He told me to go ahead and I need to mention and give him some props. He reported on this on Weaponized News back in June of 2024, where he read this whole statement from the meeting of foreign ministry senior officials. Tying into this, Russia expects India to keep buying its oil despite U.S. backlash. Russia expects to keep supplying oil to India despite warnings from the United States embassy officials in New Delhi. They said today, adding that Moscow hopes trilateral, that's the key point there, talks with India and China will be held soon. Simon's telling me look for some big announcements coming out of this trilateral talks between China, India, and Russia. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced an additional tariff of 25% on Indian goods from August 27th as a punishment for buying Russian oil, which constitutes 35% of India's total imports, compared with a negligible 0.2% before the Ukrainian war. See, it's very hypocritical. We already talked about this before, that we're trying to punish India for allegedly funding the Russian war machine against Ukraine, but America is still importing uranium and other goods from Russia as well. So we're backhandedly funding the Russian war machine here as well in America. Donald Trump, can you hear me? No, we ignore these facts. We ignore these facts. And I know why Simon liked this article. because Greater Eurasian Partnership, right? It's now out there. They're implementing it. As tensions between the United States and India rise, regular viewers of the show will know that Simon was warning about this for a long time, that they're rolling out the Greater Eurasian Partnership. We've done documentaries about it painstakingly. And so all of that is on Weaponized News YouTube channel. To go look at all the background history, the build up to where we are now. And so this upcoming trilateral meeting is going to be a big deal. And so we'll have that as it develops. But yeah, BRICS, the Greater Eurasian Partnership. Indeed. How about this? This will make you want to throw up. On to the aardvark news of the day. Wow, this will make you want to throw up. Here's Trump. Here's Trump saying him and Netanyahu are war heroes. I guess if genocide it makes you a war hero, I guess they are.
He's fighting, they're trying to put him in jail on top of everything else. How about that? He's a war hero because we work together. He's a war hero. I guess I am too.
What the? Huh? King of the aardvarks, man. If being a war profiteer, here they openly admit it. Here's U.S. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent admitting to being a war profiteer. And MAGA America, it's what the? Listen to this clip.
Which, once this conflict stops, could pay off big for the American taxpayer. We can recoup our investment. If Ukraine does well, we do well. The conflict stops, and the conflict's got to stop for the economic partnership to really kick in. We're going to start with some investments now. So I think President Trump is very vigilant. Right now, we are selling arms to the Europeans, who are then selling them on to the Ukrainians, and President Trump's taking a 10% markup on the arms. So maybe that 10% will...
What? Oh, you're making 10% war profits to kill Russians? Well, hell yeah. What the? And you just casually, yeah, isn't that great? Wow, man. Wow. Aardvark Army plans overseas recruitment drives in the United States and France. Hell, let's go be a settler over there. But I guess we don't have the right, Huh? Yeah. Aardvark military faces a severe shortage of 10,000 to 12,000 troops, prompting plans to recruit youth from particularly the United States and France, targeting 700 annual enlistments. in dual citizenship now. I even say this, man. The shortfall stems from ultra-Orthodox aardvarks refusing to serve despite failed efforts to end their exemptions for religious study. Existing recruits are dropping out, citing physical and psychological trauma from prolonged combat. And we're seeing I see reports here now where they're increasing of IDF troops committing suicide. Maybe they even have a conscience. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, just shoot that kid over there. He's a damn Hamas. It kind of catches up with you, you know? And so, my God. And how America or France could allow this is just beyond me, man. But hey, we got the king of Aardvark land. What are you, pro-crime? We haven't played this today. Might as well.
Ignore the panicans and trust in President Trump.
Really? You're going to allow this, Trump, in America? Maybe you won't. I have my doubts. Recruiting abroad raises ethical and legal concerns, including questions of loyalty and foreign government policies. The military's plan reflects deeper challenges such as declining reservists, retention, and equipment shortages as operations like the planned 4-month Gaza City occupation loom. Come on in, boys. Join the ethnic cleansing genocide program. It's for your God. If your God's Satan. Wow. More war profiteering from America here. Aardvark Land is buying 2 more KC-46 refueling planes from Boeing. Total now 6. The deal worth $500 million, funded by U.S. aid. KC-46s will replace Aardvark's old KC-130s and 707s, boosting long-range strike capabilities. First 4 were ordered in 2022, but not yet delivered. And here's a picture of said refueling. Well, hell, the U.S. military-industrial complex is profiting off of genocide. What are you complaining about? Are you Hamas? Pentagon seeks billions in emergency funds to restock arms used in defense of Aardvark land. The Pentagon is seeking over $3.5 billion with a B billion dollars to replenish weapons and defense system used to protect Aardvark land, according to Bloomberg, citing budgetary documents. More war profiteering, more propping up a genocidal regime. The genocide's continuing. Over the last 24 hours, 58 have been reported by the Gaza Health Ministry of Health, 58 dead, and 185 injured. But they're all Hamas terrorists, right? Little Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, he says that the International Criminal Court is morally bankrupt, and more sanctions for you. The International Criminal Court continues to disregard national sovereignty and facilitate lawfare through efforts to investigate, arrest, detain, and prosecute American and Aardvark nationals. In response, I am sanctioning 4 additional ICC officials. We will continue to hold accountable those responsible for ICC moral morally bankrupt and legally baseless actions against Americans and aardvarks. According to the U.S. State Department and Secretary of State, little Marco Rubio, isn't he one to talk about morality? Again, we need to start sanction all France, UK, who else has jumped in there? Germany, who else? Netherlands, I don't know, I forget even now. All the Europe's amassing here to put on the show at the UN as we continue to report here in the coming weeks. And so all of them need to be sanctioned. All the aardvark protesters we showed that are protesting the war, release the hostages. We know the narrative there. All of them need to be sanctioned, so on and so on. Wow. All these Haredi aardvarks are staging protests and blocking Highway 6 in opposition to aardvark recruitment law, which aims to end their exemptions from military service. Well, don't all these characters now deserve to be sanctioned as well? Take a look at this video. We'll just play them all concurrently here, or maybe one after another. There you go. They should all be sanctioned too. How dare they? That's antiseptic behavior by the aardvarks. Aardvark Land is reportedly considering. Oh, we already covered that. Oh, come get the. I'm gonna watch my tongue here. Talk about evil dude Ben Gavir. As we continue to report about this psychopath, he's now openly mocking. And there was another report last week. I don't even think we did it, but I read about it, where he's in there mocking Palestinian prisoners they have imprisoned in Aardvark prison. Here he is. I guess he wants to start a riot. Oh, he's desecrating the holy sites over there. This guy's a top level provocateur. But here now, Minister of National Security Ben Gavir placed a photo of the large scale destruction of Gaza in a prison, so Palestinian prisoners see it every time they pass by. He literally he wants to provoke a response here now, and then he'll use that as an excuse. Oh, you're terminated, right? Obviously. Let's take a look at this.
זה מה שהם רואים בבוקר, כשהם יוצאים לשעת חצר שלהם, זה מה שהם רואים, ואחד מהם למעלה כאן זיהה את הבית שלו. ככה זה צריך להיות.
This freaking guy, man. Yeah, Ben, pure evil. Better believe it. Even old Lammy out of the foreign minister there, out of our British foreign secretary, David Lammy, he issued strong condemnation today of Aardvark land colonist expansion plan in the area known as E1, warning that its implementation would constitute a blatant breach of international law and severely threaten the viability of a future Palestinian state. Well, isn't that the point? And so, State Department, little Marco, are you going to sanction old David Lammy from Big Brother UK? We'll get to more of that report, but Aardvarkland's playbook for Gaza City assault revealed. The IDF plans to seize Gaza City. Plan to seize Gaza City is now on paper, and it's massive. Forces, 5 divisions, 3 of them regular, already in motion. Phase 1 is pounding Hamas tunnels network on the city's edge. Objective, encircle, then push inside. The mission, dismantle Hamas's last urban strongholds, including neighborhoods untouched since the war began. Civilians, roughly 800,000 residents, have been told to evacuate south. Aardvarkland says aid hubs and field hospitals are being prepped with UN NGO help, but moving that many people is a humanitarian nightmare. Timeline, 4 to 6 months of grinding urban combat, which means this won't be quick and won't be clean. Reserves, 60,000 fresh called up, plus extended duty for 70,000 already in uniform. By autumn, nearly 130,000 aardvarks could be mobilized. This isn't just another operation, it's the occupation plan. Greater Aardvark land, long, costly, and guaranteed to reshape the war's next phase. Here's some maps so you could see they've broken it up into nice little segments there. And yeah, going in here right now. Yeah. The little parts that they don't control already are going to be turned into rubble. Aardvarkland begins attack on Gaza City, as we just reported there. Yeah, it's quite horrific indeed, as the siege, blocking food, water, medicine, energy, continues as well. Mass starvation. They've weaponized hunger. Let's see this report from NBC News. And again, NBC News, if you look at their logo, I don't know if this one's doing it, but the other one was, they spin their peacock logo and it matches up with the goals for sustainable development, if you could catch that symbolism. Let's watch this report about the attack on Gaza City.
NBC News has confirmed that Israel has entered the first stages of its planned assault on Gaza City. An Israeli military official says it happened after a clash with Hamas. That official also says Israel's military already has a hold on the outskirts of the city. It comes just hours after Israel said it would call up 60,000 reservists for the Gaza City offensive. That is in addition to the 70,000 already serving. Let's get right to NBC News International correspondent Danielle Hamamdin. Danielle, what more do we know right now about this assault and what happens next?
It doesn't come as a big surprise, although it's coming pretty quickly, I must say, Christine. As you say, 60,000 reservists called up, an additional 20,000 will see their service extended. This is a massive operation. They've called Gideon's Chariots 2. There are 800,000 people living in that area. For Palestinians, this will mean that the thousands will be forced to go from northern Gaza to southern Gaza. The IDF says that in order to minimize harm to civilians, the IDF will warn the population and allow them to evacuate from maneuver areas for their protection. Now, when Palestinians hear the word evacuation, Christine, this is usually code word for displacement. And it comes with a visceral fear that they'll never be able to return again. This is all coming as we wait for an official response by Benjamin.
Did you catch that? Look at the logo down here. Watch this. Watch this symbolism. UN Agenda 2030, Goals for Sustainable Development. Watch it down there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
As we wait for an official response by Benjamin Netanyahu on the proposal, the ceasefire proposal that Hamas has agreed to, that's been now almost 48 hours. And so speaking to Palestinians in Gaza over the past 24 hours, many were hoping for a truce. And now this, and they will tell you they don't believe this operation is to stop Hamas from regrouping. They believe this is the beginning of the full occupation of Gaza and the complete and total displacement, or the attempt to totally displace the entire population of.
Textbook definition, as we've covered here, of ethnic cleansing going on right now. Aardvark Land approved settlement plan to erase idea of Palestinian state. Yeah, they ain't going back. They ain't going back. A widely condemned Aardvark settlement plan that would cut across land which the Palestinians seek for a state received final approval today, according to a statement from Smotrich. The plan of the E1 project, which would bisect the occupied West Bank and cut it off from East Jerusalem, was announced last week by Smotrich and received final go-ahead from Defense Ministry Planning Commission today. Restarting the project could further isolate Aardvark Land, which has watched some Western allies frustrated by its continuation and planned escalation of the Gaza war announce they may recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations Assembly in September. They're doing it. They're going for broke right now. Aardvark Land has officially approved the long-stalled E1 settlement plan east of occupied Jerusalem. The project pushed by Finance Minister Smotrich involves building 3,400 plus housing units to link Ma'ale Adam with Jerusalem. This move splits the West Bank in two, cuts off East Jerusalem, and makes a contiguous Palestinian state nearly impossible. Well, that's the point now, isn't it? Smotrich calls it a way to bury the idea of a Palestinian state and secure Aardvark sovereignty. It threatens the Bedouin community and seizes 3,000 acres of Palestinian land. Here's the map. Yeah, I'm just going to take all this. What the hell? I don't even say there's Hamas there. It's so you Palestinians will have no state because you will have no land, you see? And so it will be erased. The idea of two-state solution, Palestinian state, will be erased because they have no land. There it is there. And a four reported, even Big Brother Lammy saying, yay, wait a minute here. They're bombing the hell out of Lebanon still, up to the north. 7 people injured in airstrike by aardvarks in southern Lebanon, north of Aardvark Land in South Lebanon, you see? And so they're going full on here. And look at these characters, the settlers. The settlers, 225 aardvark settlers from Canada now and the United States arrive in the occupied Palestinian territories today, moving in homes and land taken from Palestinians. And so here you go. Isn't that lovely? Their whole family goes over there and be, homicidal maniacs. Wow, dude. Wow. What else do we got today? Yeah. Of course, Palestinian officials condemned it, warning it kills any hope of a two-state solution. That's the point. Western governments say it violates international law and threatens regional stability. Of course, anybody that questions it shall be sanctioned by little Marco and the State Department. The two-state solution emerged after the 1993 Oslo Accords, where both sides agreed to work toward a Palestinian state alongside aardvark land. Palestinians seek East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Gaza. Aardvark land's government have been divided, some supporting negotiations, others aiming to block statehood entirely. Well, looks like old Smotrick won. Here he is with the map saying, I'm taking it all. There you go. What does Kay say? Go to. Yeah, I don't know what. Go to his number 30 post under shorts. I don't know what that means, Kay, on the YouTube, but okay. That's all we got for today. It's horrific what's going on there, and they're going full on now. It's pretty clear. What is it? Gideon's Chariots 2. Horrific indeed there. Let's go to the channels now. Let's take a look at where are we at. Let's take a look at old Odysee. Not many over there today, but shout out to Highland and John in the chat. Thank you guys for a little bit of chat going on there. Let's say may have been a Jesuit cook involved. Do you think Hexess on top? No justice for Whitey. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee. The Bitchute. They don't link. They don't link. I don't think they allow links on YouTube chat. I'm not sure. Okay, over there. No words. These psychopaths in charge are beyond words. Yeah, pure evil, man. Pure evil there, Karen. That's what we're witnessing. Was cases John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. Yeah, on YouTube says if you think this has nothing to do with what you're talking about, you could not be more wrong. Well, I don't know the context of it, but yeah, it all ties together for sure. For sure. Bindi says war crimes for the world to see and stay silent. Yeah, more and more speaking out. I call him Smoke Trick. Man, oh man. You got to laugh to keep from crying here, how bad it is. And will they use all these immigrant detention facilities against American citizens? I hope not. I hope not there, Chloe, but everything points to a evil, corrupt, centralized authority in the federal government, power grabbing as much as they possibly can. They're promoting rat out your own citizens. I mean, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. That's for sure. Okay, with that, on this Wednesday edition, shout out to the YouTube audience. The Rumble, as always, lively chat over there. Thank you, guys. And we'll follow up on that story about Mary tomorrow. Shout out to Kick, Twitch, and Facebook. And with that, I bid you a good evening. As always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.